You know what? Nobody wants to hear from Bernie, and nobody wants to hear from a failed congresswoman from the Bronx that her district looks like total garbage. And nobody trusts Bernie Sanders ever. If anybody trusts Bernie Sanders and he's passing the torch to her, keep up the good work. I'm very excited about their rallies. Thank you very much. I appreciate you.
What say you to that, Brian?
Speaking on that, so Brian, you used to work for Bernie Sanders. So let's hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the silver lining of the Trump reign of terror part 2 is that people are beginning to realize that Bernie has always been right.
The award-winning A Black Executive Perspective podcast presents Pull Up, Speak Up, where meaningful conversations drive progress and every voice makes a difference. So, what's on the table for discussion today?
It's time to show up, speak up, and get real. Welcome to Pull Up, Speak Up, a new series from a Black Executive Perspective podcast, your safe space for raw, unfiltered, and honest discussions on the tough issues many shy away from. I'm your host, TonyTidbit.
And I'm your co-host, Chris P. Reed. We always like to start by giving a shout out to our partners at Code M Magazine. Code M Magazine, whose mission is saving the Black family by first saving the Black man. That is Code M Magazine's 2Ms.com. Check them out.
Definitely check them out. And you're going to check out today because our roundtable will tackle 2 explosive topics. The signal leak scandal. We're going to discuss our top officials above national security protocols. And then we're also going to dive into AOC and Bernie Sanders rallies. Are they driving change or really just preaching to the choir?
Before we go down this path, let me take a moment to introduce our panelists, our powerhouse lineup of panelists. You've seen them here before if you've tuned in. First, I wanted to welcome Kevin Jenkins of Counsel at Right Turn Strategies. Kevin, welcome back.
Thank you.
Speak Up.
Glad to be back.
Cool. Next is Tauri Laws Phillips, CEO of the Austin 100. Tauri, welcome back to Pull Up Speak Up.
Thanks for having me.
All right. And then rounding out the panel is Bryan Mullen, a former media advertising executive. Bryan, welcome back to Pull Up Speak Up.
Thanks, Chris. It's a pleasure to be back.
All right. So for our panelists and our audience, we like to establish great dialogue. And one way in which we do this is we have a series of 10 ground rules for making sure that we can have a great, successful, productive conversation. So I'll go through the rules with you guys so we're all on the same page. The first rule is respect all voices. Second rule, listen actively. The third rule, no personal attacks, folks. Fourth rule, avoid interrupting. It's going to get passionate. It's going to get exciting. We're going to be heated, but do your best to avoid interrupting anyone when they have their platform and their turn. Number 5 is stay open-minded. Number 6, speak from your own experience. You don't want to tell a third party, fifth party, seven party story with no real facts or no real perspective that you have of your own. Number 7, let's stay on topic. We have a small amount of time to put out a lot of information and a lot of things that we have with each other. So let's make sure we stay on topic. Number 8, follow the time limits, kind of a subset of number 7. Number 9, challenge ideas, not people. Definitely not personal. We have some personal emotional investment. Make sure that we're challenging the ideas and not the person. So no mudslinging. Number 10, and finally, no buts. Generally, when somebody provides a perspective or their point of view and you put a but on it, it kind of diminishes what they just provided you. So those are the 10 ground rules.
So
never
guys,
heard
you
that
see
one
a
before.
thumbs up. It is actually factual. Thumbs up saying you agree to the ground rules.
Thumbs up.
All right. Pull up, speak up. Let's talk about it.
The release of damning new text messages has cast doubt on the Trump administration's claim that no classified information was accidentally shared with the magazine editor. But the US president and his team are doubling down, calling the scandal a witch hunt.
Word games over war plans. The White House relying on semantics as Donald Trump's defense secretary played down what he shared on a group chat with a journalist.
Nobody's texting war plans. There's no units, no locations, no routes, no flight paths, no sources.
But there were times. Journalist Jeffrey Goldberg, who was accidentally invited into the confidential thread on the non-authorised app Signal, has shared more messages about the strikes against Houthi targets in Yemen. On the day of the attack, Secretary of Defence Pete Hegseth wrote, "Team update. Time now 11:44 Eastern. We are a go for mission launch. 12:15 Eastern, F-18's launch. Later at 1:45, the first strike window starts. Hegseth says the target terrorist is at his known location. And at 2:15, this is when the first bombs will definitely drop."
Do you still believe nothing classified was shared?
Well, that's what I've heard. I don't know. I'm not sure. You'll have to ask the various people involved.
So, guys, based on what, happened about 11 days ago, and then obviously in the clip we just saw, Kevin, I'm going to kick this off to you. Was this information actually classified?
Well, you can classify anything in the government, especially at the presidential level. But, I believe it's a nothing burger. And I think this strategy of gotcha, or you're doing something that might impact the safety of Americans. Well, I can go back over the last 20 years and see that every time you turn on your TV, they're selling you CIA talking points about war. Every time, you're talking about what's happening on the globe, it's always manufactured in some way. Now, do I believe they should be on Signal having that conversation? No. But what I find very interesting is that the reporter knew that he should not have been on that call, or whoever put him on that call was already had a desire to manipulate whatever was done on that call in a bigger way, because he wants to say the Trump administration is being careless with intelligence. And I got to tell you, that's not a good strategy. And I think he was wrong for doing that. He could have put lives in jeopardy. And I think he was reckless and careless. And I think it was a nothing burger. But it happens every day. I don't understand. I mean, if we look at Hillary Clinton when she was in office, who was a friend of mine, if you look at what she did with her emails, it happens all the time. So I just don't understand that this strategy of trying to find something wrong with the Trump administration every single second, as opposed to trying to work and figure out a way how we can better our group or better this country. And I think they're failing at that. I think every time they do it, people are like, look, do you have something that's going to bring value to our lives? Do you have something that's going to make our neighborhood safer? Do you have something that's going to bring at least something to the table that's going to do something positive for us? Every day I turn on my TV, which I seldom do, it's like Trump, 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 Trump. Never about crime, never about poverty, never about housing, never about anything that brings value to the Americans. And that's why 77-some-odd million people voted for him. And that's why his approval rating is at 56%. So I don't understand the logic of it. Maybe it's just emotional. Maybe that's how they operate, but it's not a winnable strategy.
Bryan, what's your thoughts?
My thoughts are, I don't know where to begin with that level of stupid. Sorry. Classified, they talked about who they were going to attack, when it was going to happen. It was classified. Talk to any expert, it was classified. That's one. Hillary Clinton's emails? Are you kidding? Hillary Clinton ran for president 8 years ago? I mean, be serious, okay? Please be serious. The reason we're not talking about the other things you talked about, housing, etc., is because Trump doesn't talk about it. He's not interested in it, okay? So this idea that this is overblown is silly. And don't take my word for it. Take experts, take military experts who've been on television. Everyone knows this was classified. As for the reporter actually was the only one in the group who was responsible. He did not share the information because he knew it could put lives in danger, okay? Waltz went on TV the other day and suggested that the Atlantic reporter, the editor, was the one who did something wrong. He was added to the conversation. He also then said, I don't know how he got on there. It could have been a mix-up. I had him listed as someone else. So I'm sorry, Kevin, but everything you said is untrue. And I know we don't like to sort of make it personal, but you saying that is part of the problem. It's because Republicans in general can never admit mistakes. You can never fix things if you don't admit they were wrong.
Tauri, let's get your thoughts on this.
Kevin, I'd love to I'd love to respond in a way that is as respectful as I can find myself to be. I agree there are a lot of people looking for what is going wrong. I agree with that. I think that is the climate of American politics and has been for the last 15 years and I think that is like culturally what we're looking for. So I will agree with you on that. I think that the difference between her emails and this particular instance with Signalgate, as I think is really funny to call it, is the timeliness of the information shared and the difference between information shared prior to an event and with people external to the details and data that is involved. So to me, the issue is including someone who is not a part of the tactical team, sharing it on a platform that is not the platforms that are within the sort of approved spaces, and doing it prior to with someone external to the conversation. And so I think when we think about the opportunity to put our soldiers in jeopardy, doing so with the plans to external people in the media, that's just simply a mistake. If I CC the wrong person on my email, my board is going to look at me and say you made a mistake. It's okay to have mistakes. It's okay to be human, but we got to clean it up and be responsible for what we're doing. And also, CCing the media, yes, we can blame the media, but we also have to include the people who CC'd the media and who none of those people looked at that group and said, hey, who's this guy? That's what's funny. If all of us were on a text chain and there was a number we didn't know, somebody would be like, hey, Tony, who'd you include? Because I don't know that number. And that's normal. Like, that's the normal double checking of what you're doing. And maybe it's just that, they're used to other people thinking for them, but there were mistakes made on multiple sides. And that creates the issue.
Let me ask you this, Tori, before we move off. National Security Advisor Michael Waltz said two things recently that stuck with me. One was that, like you said, he, knowing who's on the chain or who's there and who's responsible for that type of coordination, he said that he had never met with, communicated, or spoken to Goldberg, and that, quote, it was likely that that Goldberg's phone number was in someone else's contacts, and then it somehow gets sucked in. It somehow gets sucked into the actual thread. So in that regard, because it was like a oopsies, do you believe that there's some type of investigation or overhaul to prevent that? And is that something that's a administrative thing, or is that something that the company Signal should be held liable for?
It's on both sides. This is why we have approved channels for specific information. So if we decide that tactical information is not classified and we can spread it and use it in any channel, then it makes it a lot easier for, saving somebody's phone number under the wrong name. Okay. Really easy to set that up. And that's the easiest setup, is if we don't have rules or we're breaking the rules, it's really easy to get one over on somebody. I love a conspiracy theory. Listen, if you had hired me as a page, I would be the one saving everybody's phone number incorrectly in everybody's phone. I will happily go down for getting everybody. But I can't do that, and I can't set anybody up if you're using approved channels. The issue with Hillary is she was using unapproved channels for information that was highly sensitive. Listen, I'm happy you were friends with her. I wish I could be friends with her. I love her till the day I die. That was the issue with what she did. She was breaking and bending the rules. So if we break and bend the rules, you open yourself for these types of things.
Well, this
is the problem.
Can I speak to this, please? Can I speak to this, please? If
talking about Hillary's
hello,
emails.
can I speak?
Hold on, Brian. Let Kevin jump in, then you can jump.
Because
I thought I chatted first.
That's okay. I heard both of them, and I think, Tauri, I said earlier on that they should not be using Signal or anything like this to be communicating any high intel at any level. I said that early on. But, you know, when you said the loss of putting our troops in jeopardy, you must be talking about what happened in Afghanistan when 13 of our military people died. Now, I can go on and on and on about that, but that's not the issue that I was talking about. I was saying they shouldn't do it. And there's enough, we can go through history in the last 5 to 6 or 7 years to suggest that a lot of this has been going on, and they should clean that up. But, you know, to say that it's silly or to say that, you know, something is inappropriate of what I'm saying is quite delusional, because historically these things have happened over and over and over again. And this is what I'm saying about the far left. They have amnesia. They don't understand that when they do this, people are saying, wait a minute, guys, we got other issues to be dealing with right now. And you know what? That is an issue. And I think they need to deal with that. It should have never happened. I agree with that. But to say that it's silly, or to say that Hillary Clinton's emails did not have an impact or could not have an impact on our national security, that's quite delusional at best. Or to suggest that,
which are they, both nothing burgers, or are they silly? You decide, because if nothing burger is,
you're missing
I don't know what is.
But see, but this is what I mean about these kind of conversations. I said, and I listened to both of you. Clearly didn't say not one word, and I was just trying to clean up the end of what my statement was going to be. So my thing is, I think there's enough to go around. I think that they were wrong. I think that should have never happened. And thank God nobody's lives were put in jeopardy. But if you have to do an historical analysis, there's a lot of that's going on every single day. And we need to deal with that. I think that kind of stuff is very serious. I didn't make any excuses for that. But to suggest that when I said something about Hillary, or if I said something about Afghanistan, if I say, oh, that's silly, well, that right there is counterproductive. And there lies the problem. Every time you have a conversation with the radical or far left, it gets personal, instead of us focusing on the fact that I said earlier on that was wrong. That should have never happened.
The only thing radical.
Hold on real quick. Brian, I'll let you respond, then I'm going to jump in. Go ahead.
The only thing radical is everything Kevin has said.
It's time to rethink your protein. AgileLab's protein bars are crafted with high-quality protein, double the leucine, and enriched branched-chain amino acids, essential for optimal muscle recovery. Finally, a protein bar that works as hard as you do. So visit agilelabs.com and use the code BEP to get 20% off. That's agilelabs.com, promo code BEP.
Because it's steeped in lies. Who got us out of Afghanistan, Kevin?
Got you out of Afghanistan?
Excuse me, I'm talking.
Wait a minute.
Excuse me.
No, time out, guys. Time out. You're not going to attack me in a conversation I'm having. This is the problem. Listen, you need to learn how to really have a conversation. Because Brian, you're out of control. And the liberal class. See, this is what I mean. You can't invite me to a show to have a deep conversation when he's doing this.
You're not capable of a deep conversation.
We can't have no attacking now. Come on. Everybody can tell their point of view, but no attacking, no personal attacks.
Tony.
Listen. If that continues, that's not an opinion. Your opinion is without context. You're attacking me without understanding what I said. And there's some real comprehension issue here, because you don't know what my politics is. You really don't know.
Let me know when he's done.
You really don't know what my politics is.
So, Kev, I hear you. So, no, listen, guys. Everybody's got a right to their opinion. No person, you can't be calling people stupid or anything like that, right? Speak what you want to say. If you disagree, totally fine. But just keep it from a personal standpoint. Go ahead, Brian.
Tony, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Everyone is not entitled to facts that aren't true. So this is what Kevin peddles. I mean, I just met him, but he's essentially doing talking points, poor man Scott Jennings on CNN, where you just obfuscate and you talk about things that are historical and are untrue. So Trump was the one who did the deal with the Taliban, which put us in danger in Afghanistan. Definitely Biden made a mistake with the pullout. There's no question about it, but Trump teed him up for that. Hillary's emails, the fact that we're even talking about this is really sad. It is. It was 8 years ago. Okay? People's lives were put in danger. Pete Hegseth was unqualified. This goes back to the idea that most all of Trump's cabinet members were unqualified. They're just Trump loyalists. They're just people who owe Trump their existence. And so they sit in these jobs like Tulsi Gabbard. She sits before Congress, a special committee, and she lies. She lies. This is what these people do. This is what Trump is doing as president. He's setting us up for failure. He's been in office, what? Less than 3 months. How many problems can there be? The stock market is crashing. We're putting people in danger. Okay? People are being grabbed off the street. I mean, please, Hillary's emails. You've got
I got to tell you. I got to tell you guys. I got to tell you. I got to tell you. This is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, this whole thing. This is what I'm saying to you. I'm pointing out various issues that reflect on what we started the conversation about, right? Mm-hmm. And he's saying that it's untrue. So he's contradicting himself right there. So he says it was Trump that cut the deal with the Taliban. Well, we can go back and have that discussion with many presidents. You know, I mean, that's just what I'm trying to say to you. I mean, if we're going to have these if you want me to be a part of these conversations, I don't even have a problem with him saying that, oh, it's not factual. Then I can rebut and say, okay, here's where I'm on this. But this kind of stuff is why the country is where we are today. This is the problem.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask this, Tony. In the idea of the severity or the sensitivity, I know that we talked about national security, we talked about different things, but you know, Tori stated earlier the timeliness or the temperature of the world at this point in time, and in the fact that these were war plans. So it was active war. 46 estimated 46 civilians were killed. So somebody, you know, there was a unfortunate level of life lost. But in the idea of culpability is what we're talking about here. And we said that it was a mistake and it shouldn't have happened. But now I see a lot of finger pointing at all shucks. And the concept is if a junior enlisted person leaked war plans like this, they would have been court-martialed. So why are senior officials, when we talk about ability or the qualifications or whatever, why are the senior officials not being held to the same amount of accountability? Is there should there be practical experience in military or security to be required for these roles? What say you? And Tony, I know you may have a take on that.
Yeah. So just to be clear though, guys, because I think we got off track. And here's the thing though, when we talked about this was classified. That was my question. Okay, to be fair, was this information classified? Absolutely. And then more importantly is that at the end of the day, nobody's heads have rolled because of it. Okay, so let me give you an example. This is an article that was written in NPR March 25th by Bill Chappell. And what this situation is called is spillage. Okay, so I quote, what typically happens in a spillage as serious as this, as people are immediately fired, said Kevin Carroll, who served 30 years in the Army, followed by the CIA and the Department of Homeland Security in the first Trump administration. Okay, he says, listen, they're usually processed, and I'm quoting, for being kicked out of the military, and they're referred to criminal prosecution. A lawyer himself, Carroll has defended troops who's accidentally leaked information. Military officers who are sent battlefield assessments that were several years old have lost their jobs for passing the information over an unsecured channel. Carroll says he defended a junior Marine Corps officer in court who sent urgently, potentially life-saving information to fellow officers in Afghanistan from a non-classified email server, and he was relieved of his duty. Carroll says for the troops seeing leadership share attack plans in advance on Signal, but so far suffer no consequences, is toxic to morale. But that double standard is so common, he adds, there's a phrase for it in the military, different spanks for different ranks. So, Tauri, and look, at the end of the day, we can say it's an accident. We can say that, which you guys all agreed, they should not have been using this app, right? But shouldn't some heads roll for this situation? Tauri, what's your thoughts?
First, I just want to make sure it's okay for me to talk and not be interrupted by anyone. And if I do get interrupted, I won't promise to take my microphone and go home. Okay, just making sure. Go ahead, Kevin.
Go ahead, Tori.
Go ahead,
Tori. Go ahead.
Okay, so the thing is that of course we've always had rules, we've always had responses, we've always had systems to have checks and balances in our government. What we are seeing now is a rebuke of our former systems of government and checks and balances, and that's why no heads are rolling. But of course, yes, of course, there should be a response that corrects the issues, because those rules were put into place by adults who thought out how it would impact the people who are most impacted. And that's why we have checks and balances. They are currently not being followed on purpose.
Bryan, what's your thoughts? Should people be fired?
Of course. I mean, but the real issue is that no one actually believes. It's been what, Tony said, 11 days?
11 days.
So politically, this is, who's the guy that told Trump, never apologize, always attack? He never takes ownership. He literally said to a Wall Street Journal reporter, I know nothing about it, a couple of days after. I know nothing about it. Can you imagine? He knew nothing about the American soldiers that were missing in Lithuania. He always knows nothing about things that are problematic. So he might fire Waltz. Like supposedly there's some discussion about like Waltz will be the guy. He doesn't want to fire Hegseth because it would make him look soft. Of course people should be fired. People lied in front of Congress. This is anything but a nothing burger. The biggest problem with this is it'll likely happen again. And what's happening behind the scenes? What do we know? What's happening without Jeffrey Goldberg being on the chain? I mean, that's what's scary to me.
So, Kevin, let me ask you this. And I don't know if it was Bryan or Tauri who said it, right? But at the end of the day, one of the things that the Trump administration is doing is they're eradicating DEI across the organization, across the administration, right? Taking down DEI, they're dismantling programs in the whole 9 yards, saying that they want the best and the brightest. And they want to make sure that everyone is qualified for their jobs, right? Now, question I have for you, is this DEI when it comes to Pete Hegseth? All right. Number one, we know he was in the military for 10 years. He was an officer, right? But never, ever was at the level of overseeing an administration. All right. Where now, I don't know, is it 2 million people under his watch? Basically, he was a Fox News host, right? And he became the defense secretary. Okay. And so now, right under his, I think somebody just said, we're not even 90 days into the administration. This situation happens on his watch. All right. And then obviously we didn't get to this just happened. And look, I don't know if this is a big deal or not, but evidently he brought his wife to some type of secure conference. And again, I'm just talking high level, but net, is this DEI? Is Pete Hegseth, is he qualified to be the defense secretary?
Let me ask you, Kevin, before you go, but let me preface this, because I was initially relieved that the brother General CQ Brown Jr. had already been fired as the Joint Chiefs of Staff, because first thought was, if they don't blame it on Susie or Tulsi or Mark Rubio or Alex Wong, of the 19, if any of these had have done this, I think the reaction would have been somewhat different based off of evidence that has been presented thus far over the first 90 days. So when you keep that in mind, do you believe Pete Hegseth is a DEI hire or does not meet the qualifications of such a high mantle in military.
Well, he was confirmed by the Senate, right? He was confirmed by the Senate. So that I let's move on from that conversation. I mean, quickly, because I don't even understand the rest of it.
Kev, stop a second. Kev, hold on, buddy. Hold on. No. I'm gonna let you.
He was confirmed by the Senate.
But that doesn't mean that he's qualified.
Doesn't make a difference. Right. Doesn't wait a minute. This is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. You asked a very specific question. I answered your question very specifically. You asked about if it was a DEI hire. I said he was confirmed by the Senate, right? He was He was confirmed by the Senate. I can go and look at every possible person that was pushed up by Biden and say the same thing about a bunch of them. And as far as the Joint Chiefs of Staff, he was hired by Trump. He just didn't choose him for this next round for this for his administration. So I don't understand that when you say, is he a DI? He was confirmed by the Senate. So what are we talking about here? And this is what I mean. You spend a lot of time saying, well, was he qualified? He was confirmed by the Senate. So right there, that answers your question.
Kevin, no, it doesn't.
So it does.
Listen, who has the power in the Senate, Kevin? The Republicans.
Wait a minute. They could have filibustered. Wait a minute, though. They could have filibustered this guy. They could have done anything possible to stop this guy's appointment. They didn't. Guess what? When the Democrats are in power in the Senate, in the Congress, they control what the flow of the leadership should look like in their administration. This is pretty normal. This is not uncommon. So you asked me a question about DEI, and I said, well, he was confirmed by the Senate. He was not appointed. He was confirmed by the Senate.
In your mind, he's qualified.
Well, the Senate said that he was qualified.
That's not an
in my mind, no. No, see, I'm a pro at that. You're not going to get me to get personal. The Senate qualified him. Personal. No, not you. I'm saying to you, no, I'm not making a personal statement. I'm saying to you, the Senate, right, confirmed him. That's all I'm saying to you. It's not personal about you or me. I'm saying it's not. I'm not making a personal statement. Right? They could have done anything.
Yeah. So here's the thing, though. My question. I'll ask it again. Okay. Because just to be clear here, right? I'm asking you. You're saying. So basically, you're saying, well, the Senate confirmed him. He's qualified. That's basically what your answer is.
The Senate confirmed him, so they said he qualified.
In your mind, he's qualified.
Let's ask it different. Did the Senate make a mistake, in your opinion, Kevin?
Did the Senate make a mistake? I can't really say what they were thinking about at that point. They were trying to get their appointment through. He came in before the Senate. He sat there for 2 days or 1 day, and he said, "This is why I should leave the military." That happens every day in government. Every time, listen, every day there's someone going before the Senate, going before the Congress, making their position, whatever that is, and they agree or don't agree. They agreed and they appointed him, right? They voted on him.
It's plausible. Does this incident show that it's plausible that they probably made a mistake?
Well, I think they made a mistake by using Signal. I really believe that. I don't think they should have ever done it. And I said that. I qualified that earlier in my statement.
And we accept that. So we definitely, I think we're all on the same page with that, right? But here's the thing, Kevin. And here's the thing, man. You're a smart dude. You know politics, okay? So the question I'm asking you is not far-fetched. We know in politics, okay, that the president, and there's a lot of backdoor deals that are done behind the scenes to get somebody to vote for something. Okay, we know that. You know that. Okay, so just to say, oh, the Senate confirmed him, he's qualified, at the end of the day, let's be fair now, okay? That happens. It happens all the time. That doesn't mean the person's qualified, okay? That means that the person in power wanted this person, and he may lean or she may lean on certain individuals to vote a certain way. You know that. Okay.
Welcome to politics. You asked me a very specific question, and I responded.
But my point, but you gave me a political answer. Okay, so at least you said you gave me a political answer.
You said something about DEI. You said something about DEI.
I asked Kevin Jenkins, all right, the person of right strategies. I asked Kevin Jenkins, do you think he's qualified? All right. And you said, well, the Senate confirmed him, so he must be qualified. That's a political answer. We know the games that are played in the background. All right, Bryan, thought process real quick. Is he qualified to do the job? In your opinion, is he qualified?
I think it's a silly question. We all know the answer. The answer is he is not qualified. He was a Fox News host. Usually, if you want to make a loyalist appointment, you do it for ambassador. You do it for some job that frankly doesn't have a lot of oomph. This is a high-level cabinet position, okay? He's been accused of so many things. He's been found out of so many things. Under no other president would a man like Pete notice he's a white man. No one would get chosen like him, ever. And no one has ever been chosen like him because it's a serious position. Marco Rubio was the only person on his cabinet that in theory is qualified. You may not agree with his politics, but based on his experience, he's qualified. The rest of them, he just pardoned a couple of people because they gave money to his coffers. I mean, everyone sees what's happening except people that are carrying his water.
So I'm going to turn this to Tauri, then we're going to pivot to the next. Is he qualified, in your opinion, Tauri?
No, I think we can move on to the next thing because I'm like, listen, no, because I will add the color, not just jokes. He's not qualified because he hasn't been in a position of creating strategic plans before. The position in which he was within the military prior to, he carried out the decisions and strategy. He wasn't a strategy maker, nor had he been in the position to create strategy in the past. So I think that it's probably a bigger job than he's capable of on his own. And I don't think that we, without even touching the emotional points for me, I don't think that he's shown the aptitude to be able to make the strategic decisions for such a large organization. I would have rather seen somebody from the private sector who has actually made strategic decisions multinationally in the position than him. I just don't think, I think great. Great for something for somebody. I don't think that he has the tactical knowledge or past to be able to make decisions for our entire military at this time.
So with that and our military being an international arm, or us being a primary power, let's bring it back to something more domestic and something more serving the actual citizens in a direct fashion. And there's a clip that we have with Sanders and AOC from a rally perspective.
Tens of thousands of people descended on Denver's Civic Center Park today to listen to two stars in progressive politics, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders and New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Now, this is the latest stop on their nationwide Fighting Oligarchy tour after a rally in Greeley earlier in the day. Now, the message Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez delivered wasn't just anti-Republican Party. They were also trying to galvanize those disenchanted with the Democratic Party.
With Senator Bernie Sanders and Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez touring the country, Denver delivered a loud message of support.
In the hundreds of rallies that I have done, we have never, ever had a rally as large as this.
An estimated 30,000 people filled Denver's Civic Center Park Friday night. Both also had pointed comments for Democrats.
There is today profound disgust at both political parties.
And that means communities choosing and voting for Democrats and elected officials who know how to stand for the working class.
Rallygoers we spoke with agree the Democratic Party needs to change.
All right, so in the idea of the clip that we just heard, are progressive, and I'm going to stick with you, Tauri, on this because we got you riled up. Are progressive rallies still moving the needle, or have the left's message become more of an echo chamber than an engine of change? Where do you feel like we are on this hamster wheel?
I think that people who haven't attended rallies in the past, I think that when we had George Floyd and Black Lives Matter and Me Too, the Pink Pussy Hat Posse, I think that era got out as many progressives as it possibly could. I think everybody who was naturally had an affinity to going to rallies went to rallies then. I think that we have a larger group of people who are not sure what it is that they can do now. And I think that rallies now are grabbing people who wouldn't traditionally have gone to rallies and who are searching for how they can express their voice. I don't think that we have a centralized force pushing that. And I think that Bernie and AOC are trying to stir that pot and coalesce a group of people and give them some space for their voice. I think that people who haven't been to rallies before are going to rallies now is what I'm seeing in the groups I am and in the area where I am. I think people are going, and it's people who never would have gone before.
And so, Kevin, I'll go to you. Same question. And I know, like I said, you have a breadth of knowledge on all things, from a political perspective. Do you believe it's more of an echo chamber, or are we actually, driving an engine of change? Not only is
an echo chamber, I hope they keep up the good work. I hope they continue to keep doing what they're doing. They have no message. It's highly dysfunctional. They're on the defensive. And I'm praying that they keep up the good work because they won't be elected for the next 20 years. Thank you very much. Keep it up. Keep going to the rallies because everybody's figuring out that it doesn't do anything to solve their problems at the local level and the state level in this country. And you know what? Nobody wants to hear from Bernie, and nobody wants to hear from a failed congresswoman from the Bronx that her district looks like total garbage. And nobody trusts Bernie Sanders ever. If anybody trusts Bernie Sanders and he's passing the torch to her, keep up the good work. I'm very excited about their rallies. Thank you very much. I appreciate you.
What say you to that, Brian?
Yeah, speaking on that. So, Brian, you used to work for Bernie Sanders. So, let's hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the silver lining of the Trump reign of terror part 2 is that people are beginning to realize that Bernie has always been right. I mean, radical ideas, healthcare, college, minimum wage that can pay your bills, these are not radical ideas. These are actual truths that are happening across the world in democracies. Go to Europe, go to France, go to Spain. These are countries. When you meet young people overseas, they don't worry about student debt. They don't worry about their parents getting sick, right? So the great thing about these rallies is that Doge is impacting so many people. Do you realize that most of Trump's policies, all these idiotic decisions, are impacting his voters more than Democrats? If you look at the data, red states are more impacted by the firings, by the loss of services. So that's why these rallies are impactful, because people who literally voted for him thinking he'll close the border, he'll make things right, we're weak, blah, 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 are now finding out that his policies, their 401k is worth 8% less than it was. If they're in retirement age, like myself, you have less money you had than when Biden was president. Oh my God. Guess what? I go to the store every week. I haven't been able to get eggs in forever, and when I do, they're really expensive. So Kevin talked about solving problems. Trump has created problems. He hasn't solved a single problem.
Okay.
That's all I'll say.
And you know what?
Kev, you can respond.
I am stunned after 12 years, after in the last 16 years, 12 years, Democratic Party had, when Obama came in office, had control of the Congress and Senate and got nothing done for Americans. So your $15 an hour, all of that stuff you're talking about, you had an opportunity when the Democrats was in office to save the world. You did nothing. And now you're attacking this guy that's been around for 50 days, 60 days, and you're saying, oh, he's done nothing. No tax on overtime, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security. What are you talking about? The economy is going to get better. You're talking about eggs. I built a supermarket right across the street from me, right, that I can go in and buy some damn eggs. And by the way, the prices have gone down. I am so, these radical talking points are quite scary to me. I have not been in a goddamn place anywhere, in America that I couldn't buy eggs. Okay, and the eggs prices are going down. And I eat grass-fed eggs. So what are you talking about? This is the kind of stuff that I'm always shocked about. After 16 years, 12 years of 16 years, between Biden and Obama, nothing got done, and you're whining. So everybody should sit down, be quiet, because you got nothing done for America at all.
If you like what you hear and want to join us on this journey of making uncomfortable conversations comfortable, please subscribe to a Black Executive Perspective podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Hit subscribe now to stay connected for more episodes that challenge, inspire, and lead the change.
I'm sorry.
Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Come on, man. Come on, man. Here we go again. Come on, guys. Come on.
Stop. Let me, Tauri, jump in. Go ahead.
Yeah, Tauri, jump in.
Let me start here. Kevin, I worry about your blood pressure.
My blood pressure is good. My blood pressure is good.
Praise God. Praise God. I'm so happy.
5 miles a day. I'm 62 years old. I'm younger than some of you.
Good luck with your 401k.
Let me start here, because what I refuse to do, Kevin, is let you continue to be disrespectful when I am attempting to be respectful to you, because you first got upset when I cut you off, but you've cut everybody else off, and you really are so you go so big. So let me start with this. That's why I worry about you, because you really have. I worry about you out of respect, because I look to the people that came before me. You're just a little smidge older than me. That's not a dig. That's just that I look up to the people that are before me, and I look to them and want the best for them. Period. And that's no shade. The way at which you're responding feels a lot. And it's wow. So you blow up, and you blow up hard, and you come hot, and you change the topic. It is important for the people going to the rallies to be there and to have a voice, whether you give a damn about them or not. And it's clear that you don't, because of how you talk about them. So for Bryan and I, we're happy that they have that space, whether you don't trust them or not, or whether where they live looks like trash from your point of view. They matter, and their voices matter, and them being Americans still matter. And so they should have a voice, and they should have a space, and they do have a protected space as long as we have the Constitution we have. I'm sorry, Tony. I can't.
No.
I did not say anything negative about those people that are going to the rallies. I didn't. See, this is what I mean. You're living in a bubble. I didn't say any of those things. And as far as having an engaging conversation, that's pretty normal when you're talking about politics. So I apologize if I offend you with my extra latitude in my voice when we're having these kind of conversations. But at the end of the day, I never said anything about those people. I said something about AOC, and I said something about Bernie Sanders, because those are the people we're talking. So I don't understand where all of those other things came from. And I backed it in by saying it's in 12 out of the 16 years, 12 years, they had the opportunity to change the world, and they did not. I think that's a pretty statement.
But here's the thing. I can challenge that, but I'm not right now. I want to ask Bryan this question. Okay, so Bryan, one of the things, though, to be fair, they're getting large people at these rallies, right? But the media is not really covering it, okay? Not at the level that they're covering all the other things that are happening, right? So do you see that being a negative? That the media is not behind it, and it's just more of local news carrying these rallies and talking about how people feel?
Well, first of all, it's being covered on social media a lot, which is curated, so I get it. Yeah, to me, one of the biggest issues now is that Trump has effectively scared people to death, whether it's college universities, whether it's law firms, whether it's media companies. So they're not, you have people that are having conversations with Trump, and much like someone on our panel, they lie, but they don't get caught, they don't get challenged. In other words, someone says something that isn't true, it's not challenged, therefore people who hear it think it's probably true. What the media should be doing right now is challenging Republicans and Trump on their lies. Did you see Victoria Spartz, who is a congresswoman, she's Ukrainian, in Indiana? She had a town hall. Now, she's a Republican. Check it out, okay? Because Speaker Johnson is telling all of his people, do not have town halls. Don't do it. Because you can't defend Doge. You can't defend firings. You can't defend incompetence. So I apologize, Tony. To your point, I think, look, we have a lot of years before midterms. I think it's tragic that these rallies are not being covered, but the word is getting out. I mean, I think you mentioned to me the other day that more people get their news from podcasts than from cable. So I'm hearing a lot about the rallies. And what I'm hearing now, which gives me a good feeling, is that middle of the road Democrats, people that are corporate Democrats who, push paper and try to defend democratic things, but don't really work that hard for the good stuff, like healthcare, like college, are starting to see the power of Bernie. Bernie's not going to run for president. That's not happening. But progressive ideas are going to become more popular. Bernie would have beaten Trump in 2016. He absolutely would have beaten Trump. The Democratic Party actually sabotaged themselves by making the election all about Hillary, and it was her turn, etc. There's a lot of dysfunction within the Democratic Party, 100%. Look, Bernie and AOC will either lead the Democrats to victory next time, or they will start a party. I mean, a third of Americans are independents already. People are Democratic Party is what, a 25, 30% approval rating? The time is right.
Oh, I was just going to ask a question, and it is involving the concept of the rallies and the media coverage and even the protest, and the fact that freedom of speech has been a question mark recently, whereas Trump has stated, and I position this to you, Kevin, to kind of round us out the top of the hour, when he stated that ABC should be sanctioned and taken off the, put in jail and things of that nature, and these other media outlets should be, round up and have their license stripped and things of that nature. Do you believe those Gestapo tactics are appropriate for that office and how we approach our media and our freedom of speech?
I am not here to defend every comment that Trump says. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying to you is this. I'm saying that as it relates to this administration and prior administrations, they all had the ability to change things in this country. And I'm hoping that he continues to stay focused on the real basic issues that are impacting everyday Americans in this country. And that's where I want him to stay focused, period. All of the other shenanigans, I'm not here to defend that. I'm not a partisan. I'm not a cult member. Right. So right. Let's start right there. So when I'm having a conversation with you, I'm having a conversation with you with my point of view. So knowing government and knowing how it operates from every level, I understand they're trading horses all the time. I'm hopeful that we have no wars. I'm hopeful that he's fixed this economy. And I hope we start addressing the issues that are impacting everybody's lives in this country. That's what 77.6 million or 0.5 million people wanted. The country went red. Right. So this is what they're looking for. All of this other stuff, I don't think should even be discussed right now. I think he should be focused on these local issues, period.
So Tori, as a media member, do you feel hesitant to report certain things or to put certain terminology in your publication because it may be shut down by the powers that be?
Luckily, what I do at work is pretty nonpartisan.
Go ahead.
So, Kevin, that was a lot of words for you to say, no, you don't agree with that part. And I love hearing it in that way. But do you think that you're willing to sacrifice one to get the other? So if we have a better economy, but no longer have media rights or freedom of speech, are you willing to give up one for the other? And what I hear you saying is that, like, that's shenanigans, and that a lot of people say that is sort of like, that's the stuff that just keeps the left stoked. But if there's movement on that, are we willing to give that up?
Well, I don't know where you've been since 2019. The Biden administration for 4 to 5 years have really pushed against freedom of speech in this country. And let me tell you why. I'm a prime example of it. My face was brought up at the press when the press secretary gave their I forgot her name, when she gave her speech about the misinformation 12 misinformation. No, before her, the misinformation. I was a part of that. This government tried to take my freedom of speech away from me by using a foreign agent to attack us in this country when we were fighting against COVID. Now, think about what you're saying to me. The Democratic Party, a Democratic president, right, used the power of the government to sequester my voice, my freedom of speech. So I don't know what you're talking about here. I am an example of it. I will fight for free. I'm a purist when it comes to freedom of speech. Period.
So Kev, she was just asking you.
No, she was saying, I know I wanted to address the freedom. I wanted to show by example that I have been impacted by the former administration that was pushing back against freedom of speech. That's why they were doing mandates. We couldn't fight back against it. They were saying, if we fight back against it, they're going to take us off of Facebook. If we fight back against it, they're going to take us off of Twitter. If we fight back against it, they're going to take us off. And I was actually attacked that way.
So you sympathize for those in that this administration is doing that too.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody should do it. I don't think I'm a purist when it comes to freedom of speech. I don't think you should stop college students on campuses from and using their freedom of speech. I will never defend that ever because I've been a victim of it. So I was just giving an example, a personal example.
Okay, buddy, you answered the question. All right,
there you
awesome.
go.
Appreciate that.
There you go.
So all good. We all got some nods on
we
that.
No, I wanted to show you by example. See that, not rhetoric.
Buddy,
by example.
We're with you. So, buddy, my man. We're on the same. But look, at the end of the day, it's really about, and I think this is what the theme is, right? Is that a person can believe what they want to believe, okay? If you have this your value, and that's your value, the key is that we shouldn't be pushing false information out, right? To persuade or influence other people, right? With not facts, all right? So let me back up and let me give you an example. Prime example. You said, and look, bro, I like you, so now, I get it. But here, let me just say this: you said when you said the Democratic administration, Obama, Biden, they had power for 16 years and they didn't get anything done. That's not true.
12 of the 16. What did they get done? What did they get done?
So what about Obamacare? That a lot of people. Hold on, stop it. You see how you shaking?
I'm waiting for you to finish. You already anticipating what I'm going to say.
But I'm looking at your face, okay?
I'm being animated.
So wait a minute. So let me give you my facts. Let me give you my facts, and then you can retort. Let me give you my facts, and let me just give you my facts. So let's just and be clear. You're a historian. Let's follow along. When Obama took over in 2008, we were in a financial collapse. Okay, we had major financial organizations go out of business. Who was the president prior? That was George Bush, okay? Just to be fair, let's be fair. These are facts, okay? The auto industry came to Washington with their hats in their hand looking for a bailout, okay? Unemployment, all those things were at the highest. It was called the Great Recession, all right? Let's be fair. Obama, 2 terms, brought us out of that. Okay, and brought us to built an economy that Trump inherited. Let's be fair. Let's just be fair here. Obamacare, that a lot of people in rural America, okay, is using for health care. They even tried to tear it down and they still couldn't. All right. So there was a lot of things that the administration did do from a positive standpoint. Now, if you want to say they put too much deregulation on, okay, that's fair. All right. Did they do everything perfectly? Absolutely not. No administration does. But to say they didn't do anything for the American people is not factually accurate.
Okay, so let's start from where you started, where you began. You said about Obamacare, right? Obamacare is a dismal failure, and let me tell you why. The Heritage Foundation that y'all complained about for the last year, about 2025, wrote Obamacare. right? Romney, they took it from Massachusetts, the ingredients from Massachusetts, and the Heritage Foundation wrote it. You know what they did? They gave 35 million new customers to the insurance industry. And every year, premiums are going up and up and up and up, which is not making it affordable. So now that's snapshot back to 2008, 2009, where the economy crashed, right? Here's the deal. Everybody and all of the corporations and all of the financial institutions got bailed out except Americans. Americans didn't get bailed out. They came back with this program that, if you call this, we'll try to give you assistance on your mortgages. All Obama had to do is say, corporate America, Wall Street, I'm going to bail you out, but let's reset these mortgages for these people so we can stabilize our economy because everybody lost their values in their houses. So you're talking about strategy, right? So when I say that, I'm only talking about, because you brought these elements up, I'm saying to you, that's why I'm saying he did nothing. Now, if you go to every major city in America that Black people live in or Latino people live in, they will tell you when you sit down with them that nothing has happened for them and nothing happened for them under the Biden and under the Obama administration. You know why I know that? Because I've traveled 839,000 miles and I've been to a majority of all of these cities in this country, and they will tell you that Black and white, they did not feel that strong economy that you're talking about Obama fit. They don't feel that on the ground. They didn't see that. So now I hope I answered your question as eloquently as I can with some historical analysis to it.
So Bryan, your thoughts on that?
I don't know what to say. I wonder how Black Americans feel now with their prices going up and their 401ks going down. I mean, you have such selective choices, Kevin. It's hard to fathom, okay, going back to Hillary's emails, Obama, it's just insane. Trump, right now, we're not even 3 months in. The stock market is collapsing. The Atlanta Reserve is telling us that we're going to have a recession. The GDP is going to be down 3%. There is no metric that any of us on this panel would point to, okay, as, are things good or things bad? That is positive. Trump is doubling down on tariffs. He's making enemies of our allies and allies of our enemies. The world is upside down. You want to hear a good leader talk? Listen to the Canadian leader. Listen to the Danish leader. Listen to the British leader. These are people with integrity. These are people who speak the truth. We are becoming isolated. Our country is in big trouble, but we have people like Kevin who pretend otherwise. But the regular people know. They know what's going on. Look at all the mass firings. The country is in a free fall. That's what's happening. We all know it. Okay, we're all living it. People are being fired. Your social security information is being accessed. Elon Musk, who gets billions of dollars daily in government subsidies, wants to save money for the government. But then why doesn't he cut his own subsidies? I mean, it's almost an SNL skit.
You know what?
So hold on, Kev, hold on. Let me give Tauri the last word, buddy.
Yeah, give Tauri the last word. God bless you, Tauri.
Last word.
My God.
Go ahead, Kevin. Go ahead.
I have nothing to say. I have nothing to say. Go ahead, Tauri. You go ahead.
I think to assume that you know all people because of the people you have access to reeks of arrogance. That's my first shot fired at you, Kevin, just to be clear. So just because the people you have met see it one way, that doesn't make it true for all people, because Black people are not a monolith. Thanks. Evident by the fact that we both exist in our Blackness. What is happening is evident to so many people, just as what was happening to people during the Biden administration was so evident to the people it was happening to. I think that what we have to do, if we're going to continue to have a country, is to recognize that both experiences are highly relevant and still happen to all of us because we're all American. What happened to you and your life experiences, Kevin, during the Biden administration are completely effed up. I would say the word, but I'd be respected, Tony. And like despicable in anyone's view. But what is necessary is that we have to look at what is happening to people in the last 90 days and recognize that it is despicable for them. And if we don't have that shared humanity or respect for humanity or even acknowledgement of humanity, we will cease to exist, because siloing those experiences to not caring about them is what will make us most easily divided. So if we can't look at what happened to you and say that is so effed and not okay, then we can't look at what's happening to other people and say what's happening to them is not okay. And so my experience as a single mother is that it is almost impossible to feed these two kids, because I now have an almost teenage boy who eats like it is his primary job. And groceries are impossible. To the point where, despite the fact that I have always lived a privileged existence and always been very comfortable in my life, I am now considering what to cut from the budget. I'm now considering getting rid of my prized possession, my car. The choices that have to be made because of the constraints are staggering. And the money doesn't go as far as it used to go. And the policies that I see coming are going to make it continuously harder. And so I know that there might be a great place on the other side, but the fallout is not okay. And that's the fear, because I'm the fallout.
So as we come to a close today, I definitely agree with all the sentiment of we have to begin to look towards the future collectively, and we have to come together if we're going to be in this thing. And you said if, and I'm just saying when, Tori. Like, the country's going to make it, right? I just have a false belief or optimism that we're going to make it. And if we're going to make it, we have to do it collectively, and we have to do it strategically. And the idea of us continuing to hash over, previous things and thinking that two wrongs make a right. So because this people did it and that people did it, then this gives these folks the right to get their lick back. We have to move on beyond that. We have to move on beyond the petty and beyond, some of these things. And we have to be smarter and be more transparent in the vision that we have for the country. I think that all of us do have a little bit of head scratching as it relates to the vision on both sides as to where we're headed and how we're exactly going to get there. There's a lot of themes and a lot of opportunities that exist. There's a lot of meat left on the bone, but we got to come up with some type of a strategy to eat this elephant one bite at a time. And so I appreciate you guys giving your particular perspectives on how to attack this meal that will be the future of our country, right? And so great situation. I wanted to thank you guys all specifically and collectively and individually. Great conversation today. Tony, did you have anything you wanted to impart upon them before we, put a close to this?
No, that was it, buddy. I think you closed it out perfectly. I love what you said, and you're 100% right? At the end of the day, we're all Americans, and our mothers, I believe all our mothers said this when we were kids: two wrongs don't make a right. Right.
That's right.
So, and Tauri, thank you for your summation as well. At the end of the day, everybody's situation is different. Okay. And we can't just say this happened to me, so it's good. Or I chatted with these people and they said this was happening, or at the end of the day, we're all Americans and we have to have empathy for everyone, right? No matter how they vote, no matter where they live, and the whole 9 yards. All right. So I think it's now time for
Tony's Tidbit.
So the tidbit today: when systems of power selectively silence voices, erase cultural icons, and manipulate rules to protect their own, they reinforce a flawed and unjust status quo. These actions are not isolated incidents, but systems of a larger, deliberate strategy to maintain control and avoid accountability. All right. So that is the tidbit for the day.
At this time, we'd like to remind you to tune in to the show we have here on a Black Executive Perspective podcast, Need to Know with Nsinga. Make sure you tune in each week to check out Need to Know. Dr. Nsinga Burton brings and dives into timely and crucial topics that shape our community and world. We want to make sure that you check that out. Her passion, her energy, her education, and her experience are unrenowned. And we got to make sure that we support this.
Absolutely. And don't forget to check out the next episode of the Black Executive Perspective podcast, where we continue to bring these hardcore conversation, powerful insights on the topics that matter most. It's not just a discussion, it's a movement. Don't miss your chance to tune in, to be inspired, and join the conversation.
And then we also would be remiss if we didn't remind you that the reason why we do this and have these dialogues, bring these great people together, is that we have a goal here to eliminate all forms of discrimination wherever we see it. And to achieve this, we incorporate LESS. And so we're asking for everyone to embrace less. And I'll kick it off with the L stands for learn. We want to educate ourselves on racial and cultural and political nuances and have these type of dialogues to where we can learn a perspective or an point of view that maybe we hadn't before based on age, geographic location, education, and things of that nature. So the L is for learn.
Absolutely. And after you learn, you have E for empathy, right? So be open to diverse views. You know, like our friend Tauri said, at the end of the day, we all have to put ourselves in the other person's shoes, right? Walk a mile in their shoes and have empathy and understand where they're coming from.
And then the first S is for share. You want to share your insights to enlighten others. Don't hide it, divide it. Don't be ashamed of it. You know, speak openly, speak proudly, and make sure that you're sharing the things that you've learned.
And absolutely. And the final S is stop. We all want to stop discrimination as it walks in our path. So if Aunt Jenny, Uncle Joe say something at the Sunday dinner table that's inappropriate, you say, Aunt Jenny, Uncle Joe, we don't believe that. You don't say that, and you stop it right there. So if everyone can incorporate less, LESS, we'll build a more fair, more understanding world, and we'll all see the change that we want to see, because less will become more.
I want to remind you to tune in to all of the programs on the platform, as well as tune in to the next episode of Pull Up, Speak Up, where we'll have another group of powerhouse panelists to bring their passion, energy, and information to this show. And we want to remind you to tune into the newsletter, or sign up for the newsletter and go to the website. We want the reviews. We want for you to comment. We want you to give us information that we can know where to reach you and how to make sure that we're appeasing your appetite. Subscribe to us and make sure you're listening to the podcast. Where can they reach us, Tony?
Buddy, you can watch a Black Executive Perspective podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And you can follow us on all our socials of LinkedIn, X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook at a Black Exec. For our fabulous, passionate guests, Bryan Mullen, Tauri Laws Phillips, and Kevin Jenkins. For the co-host with the most, my boy down in Dallas, Chris P. Reed. I'm TonyTidbit. I mean, man, we talked about it today. We learned about it. We screamed about it. We fought about it. But you know what? We're going to still strive about it. We're still going to thrive about it. We love you. And now it's time for us to get out.
A Black Executive Perspective.